Hey everyone, Brendan Snyder here. How are you? Thanks so much for joining me and welcome to this special pre-release review for the brand new Alan Parsons box set Pyramid. It was their third studio album at the time, came out in 1978, so 46 years ago. This thing is a limited edition deluxe super box set put out by Cooking Vinyl. We're going to get into it here in just a bit. But before we do, if you're new to my channel and you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please do. Also leave a comment, hit like. All those things do help support my channel. I'd greatly appreciate it. And of course, as an added bonus, if you turn on notifications, you're going to stay up to date on everything going on in the world of music, just like this, with a special pre-release review before it even comes out on August 23rd. You can check this out with me right now. All right, so a little bit of info on the album itself. As I mentioned, it was a third studio album and it's got 9 tracks originally on it. The core duo being Alan Parsons, namesake obviously, but Eric Wolfson, who is certainly an integral member to the band. So Alan Parsons, producer, engineer, they decided to build a group around him. Eric Wolfson was keyboard, songwriter, but he was the business side. He was the manager, he was the promoter. What I always liked about Alan Parsons Project were the outside people they would bring in and the different flavors it would give. For this particular release, they brought in the backing band of Pilot, David Patton on bass and vocals, Ian Berenson on guitar, and Stuart Elliott on drums. And then they're having additional various vocalists on this. Dean Ford, who is from a Scottish group, Marmalade, Colin Blunstone from the 60s rock group, The Zombies. Then we have Lenny Zakatek, John Miles, and Jack Harris rounding out the lineup on this. And the album itself was a concept album about the pyramids in Giza. So very cool progressive rock album, but it was a concept album, had a lot going for it. And at the time that it came out in 78, pyramids were all the rage and hype, both in the US and UK. A lot of, being centered around Tutankhamun and those sort of things. The album itself ultimately nominated for a Grammy Best Engineered Album, and why not? Alan Parsons did it the same way he did Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon. So before this came out, because I didn't even know this was coming out at the time, for Record Store Day, Cooking Vinyl released this, which I did a review on, and I'm going to leave a link in the description if you want to check out this LP only release for Record Store Day, which was Pyramid Works in Progress. So everything that's on here is now turning up on this. So for those of us that wanted CD copy edition, that sort of stuff, it's happening for us. But this had the same 9 tracks as the album itself. 6 of them were previously unreleased, and this came out on translucent red vinyl and was limited to 4,200 copies. So now we're on to this right here, but it was a great little way to lead up into this, and I liked sort of the marketing idea behind that. Whet everyone's appetite, remind us of the album, the greatness of it, and then drop this beautiful thing. So let's get into this here. Now, as I said, it's released by Cooking Vinyl in conjunction with Alan Parsons Project, the estate that is managing everything. And we've got a release date of August 23rd, 2024. As I said, if you're watching this on the day that I'm filming it here, we're about 5 weeks out for it, so you don't have to wait too long. And if you happen to order it off of Amazon, price is $175.98. So I think it's a really good deal for a 7-disc box set. That's got a lot of content that's in here. 4 CDs, 2 LPs, and 1 Blu-ray. It features 67 tracks total, 54 of which are previously unreleased. That's the meat and potatoes of this thing right here. It also has a 60-page hardcover book and press replica folder. I love my replicas and stuff like that. I can't wait to show that to you. Let's talk about what's on the disc. I'm going to open this. Don't worry, you're going to see everything that's in here. In fact, let's go ahead and do that, and then I'm going to talk about individually what's on these discs, but I can't wait to dive into this and show it to you. So certainly, we've got the original album art here on it, but I did want to show you this. So there's also going to be a reissue of the CD itself, a single disc edition of this. And it's a little hard to see, but the album art on this wraps over all the way around as, of course, the original LP edition of this thing did. But it's a little bit bigger. It's got the pyramid lamp that's in it that's not quite in on the CD edition of it. So I love seeing this a little bit different type of album art as a CD fanatic, and the way that they wrote the logo on the top versus the way that it's done here. That was just kind of fun and enjoyable. And there's the spine of this thing, but it's a slipcase style packaging. So we get the hardcover book, we got the discs, or we've got, sorry, this is the hardcover book, which has the disc, LP, and then in here you can see there's the press kit that's in there. So let's pull this whole thing out and slide that off. How beautiful is that? Put that down over there. I'm gonna come back to this, but I just wanted to hold this up front, this cool little folder of goodies that are in here. We're gonna touch on that at the end. We do have the 2 LP set of this, and the LP, it's interesting in that it's the original album itself. It's cut at half speed, so 245 RPM, 180 gram heavyweight vinyl to make this thing sound even better. And I just want to open this up because I always loved the full gatefold that's on this thing. Well, I don't know, gatefold, whatever you call the backside of that thing. Obviously, that's the gatefold, which is really beautiful. And then you've got the LPs that are in here, black vinyl in their own sleeves. There's no insert or anything as part of this because you get this amazing book that is here with this. Now, this also holds the CDs in it. When we open this up, we get 4 of the discs in here, and we get in the back the Blu-ray, right? So 4 CDs, 1 Blu-ray. You saw the LP of this thing. What I always like about this, and Cooking Lit Vinyl has done this right in that these are removable. I like these. So we're going to talk about each of these, and then I'm going to show you the inner workings of the book and what it is, because it is a beautiful, fantastic book. But let's start with CD1. This is the original album remastered. There's the original tracks, but it does have on here 7 bonus tracks included with it, which is very nice. And I have to say, this is a 2024 remaster. And I've got the previous remasters that were done. They sounded good, but they weren't very bright and sharp and crisp. And I gotta say, this remaster here, in my opinion, blows those away. So this was a case of when I popped this in, I really thought I was listening to like a remix or something different, but it's not. It just sounds that good. So this is nice. 2024 remaster. In and of itself, I think it's worth just that. Now, we move on to disc 2 that's in here, and it is the Eric Woolfson Songwriting Diaries, including, it's got 11 tracks of that, but then it's got 12 bonus recordings on top of that. So the Eric Woolfson Songwriting Diaries was very interesting to me. I didn't really quite know what to expect with it. So it's sort of his home demos, but it's also him recording ideas. So they do each of the songs from the album, but instead of it just being one long demo version of it, say if it's a 4-minute song originally, 4-minute demo, it might be the first 1-minute idea, then a 2-minute version of it where it had developed. Then it might be a comment that says, let's try this next. He's just recording ideas, and they put it all together into one thing, and you can listen to it grow. And so a lot of these are 5 and 6 minutes long or so that have multiple diary entries of versions. It all sounds good and cohesive. In fact, I really liked listening to it. I thought it might be a bit choppy, but it wasn't. But it's a very much a fly on the wall kind of feel. And if you like the album as much as I do, hearing this, the development, and hearing it before Alan Parsons got a hold of it, because Eric Woolfson would come up with the ideas, the lyrics, he'd write these bits, the piano stuff. Alan Parsons would come along and rearrange all of that sort of stuff and sequence it and turn it into the song that we know. Some of the stuff that's on here I actually like better than the album, and it's very cool to have that opportunity to check that out with it. Now, moving on to CD3 that's in here. So this one here has 15 tracks on it, and it is just referred to as bonus studio recordings. So they go song by song in here. The first 6 songs are the song Voyager, the first song on the album. Normally I don't like when they just put all the versions in a row. I would rather them sequence individual versions of the album and let me listen to it that way. It wasn't done that way, but I have to say, this is kind of interesting because the first thing is the backing track outtake, then they do an early stage, then they do a vocal experiment, then they do light relief jam, then early mix, and then they do a John Leach take on this thing. That's what it's called. And all of it together, it builds the track before your eyes. And again, it's another fly on the wall kind of thing, but it's sort of where we had the demoing version by Eric Woolfson. Now we've got the versions that Alan Parsons are doing. So we heard where it started and we heard how he built it into the masterpiece that it is. And you're getting 2 CDs worth of that. CD 4 is the same thing. It's got 16 tracks of bonus material and content on it, which is really cool. And then in the back of this thing, we've got the Blu-ray on here, and the Blu-ray is the album itself. But the cool thing is it's got the Dolby Atmos mix on here. It's the first ever time that they've done that. You also get the 5.1 surround sound remix on here from 2024 that's done by Alan Parsons himself from the original tapes, and the 2024 stereo remaster. So all 3 of those on the Blu-ray for you to enjoy. I'm not really a Blu-ray guy, but having those in here, it's nice. One day I may grow into that sort of a thing, and having it is good. But getting the LP, getting the 4 CDs, awesome. But this book in here is absolutely fantastic. So let's take a look at this in here. So first of all, it's just a beautiful coffee table style book, the way that it's done. Nice art. The text is big in here. Beautiful photos to go along with it. It tells the story of how Eric Woolfson got to the idea of doing the pyramids and what his thoughts were at the time when he was doing it, because it wasn't all, I won't say it's not factual, but I just mean, big historical. Some of it was a bit tongue-in-cheek of what was going on with the whole Pyramania, as they were calling it at the time. They do a track-by-track covering of the songs. They do this Alan Parsons interview from 2023 is included in here, which is really cool to get his insight. Unfortunately, Eric Woolfson has passed away, so we couldn't get that. But we have some comments in here from his brother. I think it's his daughter. I don't think it's his sister, but I know his brother is in here. They interview the musicians. So you really get an interesting take on all of this by the different interviews that are in here. Plus you get just the historical nature of it. And you get to see different formats like the 8-track tape and what's here. But I loved all of that, and just, pieces of memorabilia and things through this. So that's all very cool. You eventually get just more imagery and stuff like that. You get all the lyrics that are in this thing, but all the cool stuff, singles and stuff like that. So very, very cool 60-page hardcover book with all that great stuff in it to really keep you occupied while you're taking a look at it. But this here is very cool. I love reproduction stuff. I wish every box set release label would take note. Cooking Vinyl, you did it right. You gave me some cool stuff. And this was a press packet that was given out at the time. That's how they used to do it before the internet and email and stuff. So this folder, which opens up, and it has information and stuff, bio and things of that nature like that. And this is holding a nice selection of things like this, which I'm going to show you in a second. But there you go. You got some cool stuff on the project, the original bio, which is separate and different from what's in the book. And I like that. This is the hype sticker. I know a lot of you guys like that. I always keep mine, so I've now clipped it and put it in the folder, which gives it a place to live. So a little postcard that was included within that, showing you the full album art there. Of course, they gave you photos at the time because, if you wanted to print something in a magazine or newspaper when you were reviewing it, you had to have that. Today, you just download something off the internet. Cool biography, 2-page, Arista, the original label. I love the water imprint that's like that on here. Track listing, prologue, information on here. So that starts off with this, and then it goes into that. And there is multiple pages of this in here telling you about it. But what's kind of cool is this has all the little markups in it that were made at the time, things that were crossed out and changed to it. And then, if that wasn't enough, you get a really cool, thick paper poster of the album art itself. It's got a matte finish. It's not glossy. I always prefer a matte finish poster, but look at that thing. In fact, I'm just going to cover the whole screen with it and let you take a nice gander at that, because obviously that looks better than me on there. So very, very cool. I got to say, in all, this box set really done right. I love it. You know, the thing was, the album itself wasn't overly successful at the time of its release, but since then, it has actually taken on much more stature. It's increased. It's now considered one of the band's best albums. So I think it's cool that it's finally getting a box set treatment like this, as it's well deserved, even though it didn't get the sales back in the day. It has sold over 2 million copies worldwide, so certainly deserving in and of that. But this album itself, I think, really helped define the progressive rock movement. And so getting a box set like this is overdue, and I'm glad it's finally happening. So it certainly contains within this, giving you the contents that are like a fly on the wall experience. That's my big overall takeaway of this box set. You get the great sounding remaster, but then after that, you get a sort of fly on the wall experience going through it, listening to what it was like with that genius going on in the studio, sitting there. Not a lot of box sets do it, but when they do it and it's done right, it's a very cool thing. So it gives you a fun, new, interesting way to hear the album. And I kind of hope that that helps let this album shine a bit more than it has been over the years, keeping it in the light, because this is such a great album. Even 46 years on from release, it definitely deserves the attention it is getting. So thank you to Cooking Vinyl for putting this out. And what an awesome way to go through, see this album, and keep an eye out for it. Again, as a reminder, it gets released on August 23rd, 2024. At this point, 5 weeks away. If you're picking it up off of Amazon, I think they've got a good price right now. It's $175.98. You probably head over to Cooking Vinyl. I don't know if they're selling it direct. You could check there. There may be some other places, but at least you know roughly where this sits for a 7-disc box set. All right, everyone. Hope you enjoyed this. Let me know your thoughts on it. If you're looking forward to this thing here, if you're excited, what you think about the original album, all that great stuff. Take care. Have a good one, and I'll talk to you real soon. Bye, everyone.